again. Sounds good. There you go. Since its inception in 1995 by Science the EMEA, the goal of the Qatar Foundation is to strengthen science and research through strong education foundation. What I would like to do today, just for the sake of time, mainly focus on the science and research. And you can see what we are trying to do is to reach address all the spectrum of research, from the basic fundamental research all the way to the translation and applied research. And that's primarily through our partnership with the elite education research institution, all the way going to truly an accelerator in the country, that's the Qatar Science and Technology Park, and more recently, that you probably have read about, a set of world-class research institutes that are the result of a honest initiative on how to bring the Arab scientists from around the globe to contribute with us and to work with us through the development of science and research in the Arab world. Another very important element of our research landscape here is the Academic Medical Center that is Sidra, that is due to open within the next few months, and that's again another element of the Qatar interest and objective in developing world-class health-based research. Now, the most important of all of those is, of course, that all of you learn from your own experience in institutions and countries that without really sustainability and stability at the national level, national level, we have an exciting development like that. So we do have that, but it's truly going to be exciting national to support such a development. I'm sharing with you three people from research. So we are looking into extending the program for that approach for further development of the research landscape in Qatar Foundation. Of course, a lot of development has been done, but also what we want to achieve for the short term. So as you can see, these are a few areas. I'm not going to go into detail of any of them, but I think you can already notice there that we have the broad interest, yet we're very focused in each one of them, starting from the biomedical, the energy environment, and computing, where we have truly extensions now, really extensions of the ground, but also we don't forget about the social sciences, behavioral sciences, and the school. Of course, that's also part of building the region, landscape of research and development, and the society as a whole. Now, we look forward to the foundation, organization that has not simply using science products or development of the products, but also to innovate itself in application of long term, for the short term, and hopefully also at the international scene. Research Forum 2011, and just to remind you that the last year forum we had about 500 participants, and now we have 8,000. We also have a impressive number of institutions from the country and also international number of institutions that have developed and are working with us at different level. It is important also, as mentioned, is the really investigations to our scientists and students, and we never needed us to see them. This is really impressive. The students have also Thank you so much for the kind invitation to come here and visit with you today. I'm very excited to have the opportunity to talk with you a little bit about some of the research that is going on at Berkeley Lab, but also very much to talk with you about our vision for what research is going to be looking like in the coming years, and to start a dialogue with you about ways in which we can interact with each other in the years ahead. So the topics that I will discuss this morning will concern a little bit, since you're discussing the issues of the vision for what core disciplines from which everything else that we can do in science is ultimately built. And then, as we try to project out what things will look like in the coming decades, there are three new pillars that are being built today and which will be mature by 2030 probably. And so the first one is the field of nanoscience, in which we learn to control matter on very small length scales in completely new ways. And I think because it's changing so comprehensively, and that's the field of biology. Biology today is entering an era where it is much more quantitative rather than qualitative. It's no longer a descriptive science. It's becoming a science in which there are hard laws that are helping us to organize and understand the information. And it's becoming also potentially a tool for the creation of things, as opposed to an area in which we are more observational and trying to understand what's there. For example, we could imagine in the decades ahead that we might be using bacteria that are specially designed and modified in order to make the chemicals which today are made using petroleum. And that would be a major development that could emerge only as the field of biology continues to emerge. So nanoscience, biology, and the third pillar that I would call out would certainly be computation. Computation itself has increasingly become stabilized as the important third leg of science, the ability to simulate things, but it appears to be entering a qualitatively new era in which actually almost any project in science cannot be completed without computation being a critical piece of it. And we see the field of computation itself dramatically changing by the development of the ability to collect massive data sets. At Berkeley Lab, we are helping to maintain the ESNets network that the Department of Energy runs in order to pass data sets around the world. And it is not uncommon today to have petabyte data sets traveling across the world. And the handling of data at that scope and scale is a fascinating topic that is going to transform the ways in which science is performed. So we can see here in science the ability to purposefully create matter that is highly designed. Biology, the ability to understand and manipulate the living world around us, and computation. Those three will be pillars of science in 2030 in important ways. And as we plan our future, we need to take that into account. Now, as I mentioned to you, we need to think to what end will all of these things be occurring. And as we look at the world around us today, I think one thing that we can be quite confident is that there will be a major and increasing trend where science will be called upon to help deal with immense and large-scale problems of energy and environment. For sure, in 2030, there will be issues of health, there will be issues of all the other issues that science addresses today will still be there. But the energy and environment issues are going to grow in their importance in quite meaningful and important ways. And we can predict that with many factors that we'll be looking at momentarily. So what I see is that this foundation will support this increasingly be called upon to support research that tackles problems in energy and environment. That's the landscape that we see in the decades ahead. Now, how do we get there? I'd like to show you this iconic photograph of the start of the national laboratory that I'm the director of. This is E.O. Lawrence, who came to Berkeley to start his research career, and soon afterwards invented the cyclotron. And when E.O. Lawrence invented the cyclotron, he very quickly had a key insight, which has had impact far beyond even his physics discoveries, which were, of course, quite remarkable. He had the insight that in order for him to realize the full potential of his discovery, he needed to work with many, many other scientists and create a team. And in many ways, I would say it was probably the first example of true team science that developed in the world. So one thing about his philosophy, as you can see in this photo, he has all of his early career colleagues here. A few of these here won Nobel Prizes later. You can see here all of the staff who were supporting. You can see the incredible absence of diversity in that era. So all of those things are present in these photographs. But one thing to remember about it is it shows the tension. It shows the tension between the creative individual and the team. And that, of course, is what a lot of modern science is all about. Now, the lab that he founded did go on to grow substantially, and today it sits in the hills above the Berkeley campus in a beautiful spot in Berkeley. And I would like to invite everybody here on one occasion or another. We would very much like to have you sometime come and see what Berkeley Laboratory is like, because it's a very special place. It has about 4,000 employees, a budget today of about $730 million a year, and many national facilities. And I want to emphasize that because in order to accomplish our research agenda today, scientists need to come together in teams and establish large-scale facilities which are far beyond the abilities of any individual researcher to ever create. And that is a key piece of what science looks like today. In fact, this ethos of strong individuals creating robust teams is the basis of a lot of modern science. And it has worked well for Lawrence Berkeley National Lab. There have been 12 employees who have won the Nobel Prize, and about 3% of the United States National Academy of Sciences is on the staff at this laboratory. And I really attribute the success of the lab over its many decades to having gotten right this formula for how to approach the topic of team building and individual creativity. One other megatrend, of course, which I think everyone here is quite well aware of, is the topic of globalization and the fact that there's really only one science, and science increasingly spills across all borders. There are many efforts to try to describe this, by the way. This shows a map which was created by simply overlaying every time two authors publish a paper together, drawing a line. And so you can see some of the lines that have been drawn for all of the collaborations that are occurring. And if you make a map of that as a function of the time, you can see that the lines across the continents are getting stronger and stronger as time goes on. This is a type of map which scientists are increasingly trying to create. This, for example, shows chemistry and physics is over here, and some of the social sciences. This is an effort to try to make a map of all of the disciplines of science and how they connect with each other. And again, if you draw those as a function of the time, what you see is the increasing networking that is occurring. So we know that cutting-edge science today requires teams that work across many scientific disciplines, and international teams are now the norm. They're not exceptions anymore. They're becoming the norm for how science works. Global connectivity enhances cooperation, and especially gives competitive advantage to those who embrace it. If you work with trying to create worldwide teams, you will be more successful in your science and have better opportunity. But of course, I emphasize again, part of that needs to be fostering creative individuals, and I want to also state that the way that happens is not automatic, but happens through intensive personal mentorship that can often occur globally across continents. And so this issue of global mentorship is really very front and center.
in science. Some are even alienated from it and are distrustful of science. And that creates a very difficult stress situation for science and for society both. So public science education is something every science institution has to embrace and work on very hard. Okay, so now I'm going to go over briefly the Carbon Cycle 2.0 initiative. I think that you all know that if we look at the carbon cycle itself, in its state when there's not a lot of anthropogenic or human activity, the carbon cycle consists of two different types of processes. Short-term ones, which might involve, for example, the biosphere, which exchanges carbon with the atmosphere very quickly, and the much longer-term geological one, in which we have volcanism creating CO2 into the atmosphere when there's a volcano, which ultimately leads to sedimentation and subduction and creation. That cycle, that ultimate geological cycle, is the one that determines the long-term carbon flux through the world. The biological cycle is very fast and is actually typically in equilibrium. That's the state of a natural configuration. Today, of course, we're for the first time in human history, we've entered the stage where the actions of people are able to globally change the flux of energy, chemicals, and matter through the planet. And that's first manifested by this imbalance in the carbon cycle because of the fact that we take fossil fuels and burn them on a massive scale, as well as changes in land use. The combination of those two have resulted in a situation where we have created an extra amount of